Chip Brown with Horns Digest and AM 1300 The Zone in Austin. Kliff, can you talk about the defensive line transfers, Pipkins and Colin Hill, and if you think they can come in and make an impact?
Yeah, those are two guys that we're depending on to step in and have a major impact. They redshirted for us last year, learned the system, had to sit out because of the transfer, but bigger bodies than we've had, strong, physical, big-time players, which will really help that defensive line. You throw Braden Fajoko in there with them and add Gary Moore and Zach Barnes, and now you're looking at more experience and a more physical defensive line.
We got a question on the left, third row back.
Harrison Graham, ESPN Dallas Radio. Obviously, Patrick broke out and had a great year last year. What's he been working on, and how can he even be a better player this year?
I think the biggest thing was not playing baseball, and just it's the first full offseason he's ever had as a football player. So the weightlifting, being around his teammates, studying more film, working on mechanics, working on footwork, he just really worked at becoming a better all-around quarterback. And last year made some spectacular plays, really carried us at times, moving around, making things happen. And this year we're going to just work on him. When the ordinary play is there, let's take it. And when you have to be extraordinary, hey, you have that ability to go do it. But I think you'll see a much more refined, athletic, polished quarterback this fall.
We got a question over on the left, and then we'll go to the right.
Barry Trammell with the Oklahoman. Kliff, Tech once had a reputation of quarterbacks, system quarterbacks. When you and Hodges and Simmons and Graham, whoever. In recent years, you've had Michael Brewer go to Virginia Tech, do well. Baker come to Norman, do well. Davis Webb, wherever he's ended up, I can't keep up. But you got a great quarterback still on campus. Has that changed? Are you guys attracting better quarterback talent than in the old days? And you're doing great with it, but are you also getting better quarterback talent than you used to?
I hope so. I think there's better quarterback development throughout the state. I think our Texas high school coaches do such a great job with their programs developing those quarterbacks through 7-on-7, which is year-round now. Even in their middle schools, those kids are getting great work through their high school programs. So I think it's a testament to those guys. And then quarterbacks want to play in a system like we run. There's a great history of throwing the football and putting up great numbers and leading your team at that position at Texas Tech. And so we've been fortunate to have some really good ones come through there, and hopefully that continues.
We got a question on the right side, about three-quarters of the way back.
Kliff,
put your hand up so you'll know where you're everything.
Cameron Brock with HeartlandCollegeSports.com. There's been a lot of instability in your program as far as a defensive coordinator is concerned. How crucial is it from a playmaking standpoint and a recruiting standpoint to keep your defensive coordinator for a second year? And if he does make drastic improvements, are you worried about him maybe going to a different program for a head coaching job?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you look at the Big 12 and who's won the Big 12 the last 4, 5, 6 years. They've all had a defense coordinator in place and built some continuity at that position, and that's what we have to do. Coach Gibbs did a tremendous job at University of Houston. He's made big strides at Texas Tech, and I expect us to be much improved on that side of the ball. And if that were to get him to be a head coach, then hey, he needs to take that job, and we'll go from there. But we'd love to have him, 3, 4, 5 years as long as he'll stay.
Question on the front left.
Hey, Kliff. Brian Davis from the Austin American Statesman. You touched on 7-on-7 a minute ago, and they just had the big event in College Station. And all the coaches here in this state, everybody knows what such an emphasis there is on 7-on-7 now. When those players get to you, should we be changing what in our minds constitutes good defense and good defensive play from how these kids are being brought up now?
Once again, I think it's more the game, the way it's changed. When you're talking about 17, 18 possessions a game, I mean, you're going to score some points. That's just how it goes. The rules in college football are different than the NFL, and the clock stops when you get a first down. So there's a lot of opportunities in a game for people to score. And in the Big 12, as fast as we play, defenses are going to get tired. It's part of it. You're never going to have the same statistics that an SEC defense has because of the style of play. And I think when you watch bowl games and you see Big 12 teams play SEC defenses, you see, there's going to be some points scored still and yards scored. So I don't think it's as much 7-on-7 or high school development. I just think in our league, the way we play the game, the amount of possessions, the speed we play, you're never going to see the 7-point a game defenses.
All the way in
Kliff.
the back left, and then we'll get over to you, Brian.
Joe Duval, Soonerscoop.com. It's fair to say that Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield are two of the best quarterbacks in the league. Would you say that both schools ended up in the best case scenario out of that situation?
It appears so. I like both of those young men a lot. I know a lot has come from Baker's side, but loved coaching him, loved the chip on his shoulder, loved the way he plays the game, cheer for him in every game except one. And it's been fun to see the success he's had. Patrick has stepped in going into year 3 and is poised for a very good year. So I do. I think Baker, that's where he wanted to be, and it worked out for him there and has had a tremendous run. And I know Patrick wants to be at Texas Tech, so I think both guys have had great careers thus far, and I'm sure the best is yet to come.
Now on the right side, Brian.
Hey, Kliff. Brian Baldinger over here, other side, Fox Sports. We just saw two incredible playmakers in Jakeem and DeAndre move on to the next level. What's in the pipeline here? And I know that you got them, and what came out of the spring, and who should we be really looking forward to?
Yeah, you don't replace two guys like that. I mean, Jakeem was our all-time leading receiver at Texas Tech, and DeAndre had back-to-back 1,000 yards. And so they're big-time players. They'll be playing on Sunday this year. But last year we scripted a lot of the offense around those two guys, and we didn't push the ball down the field as much to our outside guys. And that's where I think we're going to be strong at wide receivers on our outside. We have Dylan Cantrell coming back, who redshirted last year. Reggie Davis had 9 touchdowns. He'll be a senior. On the other side, Devin Lauderdale will be a senior. Derek Willies is a big-time transfer, junior college wide receiver. So they're grown men now. We played with some younger guys out there the last couple of years, and now we have some grown men out there playing. And from what I saw in the spring, that'll be our strength, is that outside receiver position. So I think the ball will go more there. And then at running back, Justin Stockton had limited touches because of DeAndre, but he's as explosive a back as I've been around, and expect him to really have a big impact this year.
We got a question in the middle, straight back, and then we'll move over to the left.
Cliff Garanimig of the Tulsa World. The Big 12 rule change on walk-ons transferring within the conference, the so-called Mayfield rule. Did you and Texas Tech support that rule change?
Yes. We voted in favor of it.
Got a question on the left side aisle. Wait, Jenny, back to Jenny first, and then we'll come up through it.
Sorry. Hey, Coach, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Big 12 championship game coming in a year. Do you have any thoughts on how you'd like to see that structured, whether divisional champs coming in or best records, or what are your thoughts on that?
I really don't. I don't have much expertise as far as the championship game. I do think we had to make that move given that 13th data point. If the teams have already played and then they run it back, is that going to be fun for the fans? I don't know. I think it's exciting for us to have a showcase game like that late in the season, and gives the playoff committee another data point to look at. But how we're going to structure it, the divisions, you worry, because then do we not play OU one year, or do we not play Baylor one year, or TCU? You'd hate to see those games go away.
Question on the front left.
Hi, Kliff. Suzanne Halliburton with Austin American Statesman. Patrick Mahomes, obviously your number one quarterback. Can you go through the depth
Yes.
chart on your quarterback? Because it looks like maybe a true freshman could be the second guy.
He's got a chance. Jet Duffy graduated early and had a really good spring for us. Was a tremendous player here in the DFW area. Athletic, can move around, make plays, played in a very similar offense, so understands what we're trying to do. But right now we have Nick Shimanek, who's our backup, transferred from Iowa 2 years ago, earned a scholarship with us, and has really come along. One of the hardest workers on our team. We feel good, moved the ball great this spring. We feel good about what he can bring, and so we're going to give Jet every opportunity to get that job, but Nick really played well this spring.
Further questions for Coach? Oh, on the platform, all the way behind the platform. Sorry about that.
Hey, Kliff, Andrew Doak with KMAC in Lubbock. If memory serves me correctly, really the last veteran quarterback you had was Case Keenum back in Houston. going into this spring, I mean, how much more are you able to install with Patrick Mahomes, compounded with the fact that he's given up baseball, and just how much more confidence does it give you going into this season, having a third-year guy?
It's huge. When you're in the third year of the same system, it goes a long way, and he has complete control out there now. You watch the way he operates, the way he's checking to the line, what he's seeing. He's made huge strides. I think the first 2 years he did it a lot on athleticism and natural talent, and I really saw him take some strides as being a great quarterback. And so if what I saw this spring translates to the field this fall, then he will have a very special year.
Got a question on the front right-hand side. And then we'll go to the back. Just a second.
Chip Brown, Horns Digest, AM 1300, The Zone in Austin. Kliff, can you talk about who the leaders are on that defense and the linebacker position and where you think they take a big step?
Yeah, I think we have some veteran secondary guys. Keenan Ward has now played for 3 years. Justice Nelson has played for 4 years. We'll have a couple senior cornerbacks. And then linebacker-wise, Devontae Hinton, who played as a true freshman last year, really made some good strides at that position. We have a transfer from Houston, Luke Stice, who's really stepped up, Malik Jenkins. So it's a group that's played a lot. They've grown up, taken their lumps, and I think that's made them tougher. I think it's made them mentally tougher, and I saw that this spring. So I hope that carries over into training camp and the season.
All the way in the rear, right in front of the platform.
Delaney Bry, KLTV, and Tyler, where we are, we get to see a very personal side of Patrick. We know he's important on the field, but how much of a leader has he been off the field for you?
He's been phenomenal. As you know, being out around him, he's very humble, very soft-spoken, doesn't toot his own horn, and his players, our players on our team, love that. He's one of the most natural leaders I've ever been around as far as they just follow him. He just has that mystique about him, that the way he plays the game, the way he cares about the people, the way he doesn't try to put himself above the team, his teammates respond to that. So this is his team now. We had some good quarterbacks around prior to that, and now Davis has gone to Cal. We'll have a tremendous career there, but this is Patrick's team, and it's been cool to see him fall into that role.
Anything further for Coach? Got a question on the right, correction, the left side, all the way to the back.
Hey, Coach. Scott Wright from the Oklahoman. With all the talk about satellite camps over the summer, can you talk about how you've used those in the past and if it changes your thoughts on them in the future?
For us, it's good because of where we're at geographically in the state, to bring our product to San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, Austin, East Texas, to get around, get our brand out there. From what I saw at some of those mega camps, things like that, I don't know if we're accomplishing what we want. When you're talking about 800 kids at a camp, I don't know if that's a good thing for kids or parents, but for us to get around and be able to travel the state where sometimes kids on an unofficial visit have a hard time getting up to us, it has helped us.
Straight back on the aisle.
Myron Patton Fox, 25 Oklahoma City. With everything that went down in Baylor, do you get nervous and say, hey, are we doing everything we're supposed to do? Do you talk to your players? I mean, does it just kind of send a chill up your spine, so to speak?
I think it made all coaches, take a second look at how you do things. I mean, that's close to home. Coach Riles had a tremendous amount of success. I've known him a long time. And you try to teach your players your core values and how to be a good man, but you're not with them 24 hours a day. So you talk about accountability with your own players and holding each other to that. But yeah, it definitely, I think, made every coach in America kind of take a step back and say, okay, what can we do better in that area? And I think also, as far as second chances go with players, they have to understand there will be many less second chances given because of what's transpired across the country recently.
Got a question on the left side, just off the aisle.
Hey, Nick Kruger, Rivals.com. Just going back to what you said about the satellite camps and maybe not being able to accomplish everything with so many kids there, and more teams in and out of conference recruiting Texas heavier. What are the sorts of things that you're trying to do then to, kind of elevate your program to the next level on the recruiting front?
win. I think that's the best thing you can do. I think kids see that first and foremost. They want to be a part of a winner, and so we're trying to take that next step. We feel like we've recruited well. We've going on year 4, have great relationships across the state. Now it's time to take that next step.